So, let's talk about the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Let's talk about Imola, the home of what used to be known as the San Marino Grand Prix. Now, it made a surprise return to the calendar in 2020 because of the pandemic, trying to get as many races in Europe as possible. We had 3 races in Italy around 3 different tracks that year: Monza, Mugello and Imola. Now, Mugello never came back. Monza is, of course, a fixture in Formula 1 and always should be. But Emilia-Romagna, surprisingly, has stuck around for a number of years, and it's been on the calendar every year since, apart from 2023, where, of course, the race was cancelled due to the floods in the region, but it was meant to take place at that track. Now, unfortunately, the contract for this race is up at the end of this season, and as of the time of recording, on the 13th of May, a new contract is yet to be signed. Now, there are only 2 races on the current calendar in 2025 that are not under contract for 2026. These are Imola and the other one being Las Vegas. Now, we do have a new race joining the calendar. The Mad Ring, yes, it's called the Mad Ring in Madrid, is going to be the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. The former home of the Spanish Grand Prix, technically upcoming as that race is in this little triple header that's coming up, but the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya is under contract for a race in Formula 1 in 2026, although what the Grand Prix will be called is anybody's guess. It could be the Barcelona Grand Prix, it could be the Catalan Grand Prix, like the motorcycle Grand Prix that's held there. We don't know yet, but it is going to be on the calendar. Now, Formula 1 has a limit of 24 races throughout a year. We currently have 23 on the calendar for next year. So that basically means that you would imagine one of Imola and Las Vegas, one of those 2 is going to be on the calendar and one of them will not be. Now, for me, it is very cut and dry. You should absolutely have a race in Imola. Now, I know the critics will point out a few things. The first one being that it is difficult to overtake, and that is a legitimate criticism. It is very difficult to overtake around this track, although, as we've seen around some great tracks over the years, Silverstone to an extent, Suzuka definitely this year, Australia as well, it is difficult to overtake around a lot of tracks, and let's not even mention Monaco, which is just now impossible, of course, these days. Now, of course, the cars are changing for 2026. One of the aims is that they are going to be smaller, lighter, more nimble and easier to overtake, so much so that DRS is being abandoned for next year. So that could mean that although it is very difficult to overtake right now, and I expect that a similar story for this race in 2025 as well, I also think that it's entirely possible that next year we could well see a lot of overtakes if we do go to this track, and a lot of tracks that normally it's very difficult to pass around will be a lot easier. I think that will definitely apply to Imola. That pit straight is a very long one, and I think the cars can follow close enough to be able to pass with this current formula that's coming up. We'll never know if we don't go, of course, but I think it's entirely possible. Now, the other argument against Imola is that, unfortunately, people say, oh, well, you have 2 races in the same country. No, that is not allowed. That is not right. Well, have you seen the calendar? Have a look at it. You'll see 3 US flags there. There are 3 races in the United States. And technically, at the moment, there are 2 races in Spain as well. I know some people will say that Barcelona is not in Spain, but technically, from a UN point of view, it is. Let's not get into the politics of that region, of course. But you know what I mean. It's not unusual to have 2 races in the same country. We've seen it before in the past with other countries. Again, like Spain used to have it. Germany had it for years, although, of course, they've not got any now at all. Italy have had it on a number of occasions in the past as well, of course, with San Marino and Italy running for years between the 80s and the mid-2000s. So that argument for me is an absolute moot point and irrelevant. So what is Formula 1 going to do? Well, I've said on a number of different occasions that I think that Las Vegas may well not have its contract renewed for 2026. The main reason being money. Now, the Las Vegas Grand Prix has been well documented as an event that is losing Formula 1 money, and it is also one of the few events on the calendar that Formula 1 directly manages, rather than going through a local government or an automobile club like we see with the BRDC running the British Grand Prix, the Italian Automobile Federation, of course, running the Italian Grand Prix, etc. So this is one where Formula 1 itself has to bear the brunt of the losses. Now, there is an argument to say, well, having an event like this in Las Vegas, it is worth more than the loss, effectively. The reputation of having a race on the streets of Las Vegas is a reputational boost that is not directly correlated to money. I hope that's making sense to you guys. Basically, it's a bit more prestige. It's something that's worth more than the actual balance sheet that you get there. You might lose on the event itself, but you may sell more tickets and gain more interest in the United States, which, of course, is a market that Formula 1 is continuing to, of course, expand into this very day. It's still probably the fastest growing region for Formula One in the world. So there is that argument. I would not be surprised at all if Las Vegas gets dropped after this season. Not only from the money side of things, but also from the reputation side in terms of the local reputation. I know Formula One doesn't really care about local residents when it comes to Formula One Grand Prix, let's be honest here, guys. But you know, the voices of the people in Las Vegas are very loud, and it is very unpopular. They've lowered the price of tickets quite a bit since the first event in 23. I think the first race was there. Or was it 24? No, 23. 23. You know, they've lowered the prices quite a bit there, but the attendances are not very high because people just don't want to go. I mean, it's freezing cold that time of year in Las Vegas for a start as well. And it's in the middle of the night, which I know a lot of people will be up in the middle of the night in that part of the world, but, you know, the average F1 fan probably wouldn't be. So, you know, I think it's pretty unpopular from that point of view. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Las Vegas goes. And now you might think, oh, well, that's great. That means that Imola has to stay because they've got a spot they need to fill. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I have a theory, and I've said it on a number of occasions, that I think they'll make a new third race in America. I think that they may well do a Chicago street race. They go there for NASCAR currently. It's been a big success in NASCAR, and Formula One has trademarked the term Chicago Grand Prix. So I think it's entirely possible that Formula One might do that. They might not do it for 2026, but when that contract is up with Las Vegas, I can see them doing that. They might not do it yet, but I can see that definitely being a thing. So if I am being totally honest, I think personally that Imola will drop off the calendar in a permanent capacity. And what I mean by that is that we will have the race rotation scheme. Oh, yes. Yes, we know it's a thing because, of course, Belgium is going on the race rotation scheme. I think they missed the Grand Prix in 27, come back in 28 and 29. They're off 2030. They're back again. Now, there are no other races currently confirmed for the rotation scheme. However, Imola could rotate with Belgium, potentially, although I think that's unlikely. I think instead, because of the geographic closeness of them. I mean, Belgium's not a million miles away from northern Italy, but Spain is a lot closer, particularly Catalonia is a lot closer. Barcelona, I don't think is contracted for Formula One in 2027. So I think we could well see a race rotation scheme with Barcelona and Imola. Barcelona being on the calendar next year in 26, Imola in 27, and then they will rotate from there. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Do I think that is what should happen? No, absolutely not. No chance. But it's what Formula One wants, because Formula One, they don't race as one. They race for one thing only: money. Simple as that. It's just Formula One. It's what they do. I mean, all sports and all businesses are the same. They only care about money, really. They'll say they care about the fans and all that. No, they don't. They just do that to keep the fans on side. Formula One is very much of that ilk as well. I really do think that we'll see it go on the race rotation scheme because, and the thing is, at the end of the day, Imola is a great track. I know people will say the overtaking is difficult there, but come on. Imola has so much history, so much, it deserves its place so much more on the calendar than any of the races in the Middle East, than any of the races in North America, with the possible exception of COTA, but COTA doesn't have the history of Imola. You know, Imola has it's really tied with Formula One. It is something that, or it is a venue, I should say, that absolutely does warrant its place on the calendar. It's got history oozing out of that place. It is on the same kind of level. The places like we go to, like Brazil, Japan, Monza, obviously, Silverstone, Spa. You know, these are great I mean, there's even some places we don't go to anymore. The places like the Nürburgring, where, you know, I really love that as a venue. I think that's a fantastic racing venue. A lot of history there. But Imola's of that kind of level, and for me, it should absolutely be on the calendar. Liberty Media should do what they said they were going to do when they came into Formula One in 2017 or whatever it was. Protect the heritage races. Protect the European races. They ain't keeping it. They ain't keeping that promise. We know they're not. France is gone. Germany's gone. Yeah, they brought Imola back. They're going to bin it off the first chance they get, though. They've been very vocal about the fact they don't think that two races should be held in Italy every year. What they mean is that the races in Italy don't pay them enough money every year to warrant their place on the calendar. And we're meant to be going to Rwanda, South Africa. I don't have a problem with going to South Africa, by the way, but I do have a problem with going to that Cape Town venue. That looks like absolute dog doo-doo. That is such a terrible track. We're meant to be going to Thailand. Honestly, it's just, yeah. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to go into full-blown run. I've already talked about a lot of these subjects, but for me, Imola absolutely 1000% should be on the calendar. And I want to see, Formula 1 does this quite a bit, I want to see them announce during this weekend that Imola is extended with its contract. But I think if we don't hear that announcement this weekend, it ain't going to happen. You can say arrivederci to Imola in Formula 1, at least on a permanent basis anyway. We're probably not going to be able to see it in 26. Might be back on a rotation in 27, but it's not really the same, is it? It's not quite the same. But your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Should Imola be on the Formula 1 calendar? Does it deserve its place on there? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as well if you want to see more like this, guys. And have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today. And we'll see you very soon.